A steady yellow light at an intersection means A. Go. B. Yield to other cars. C. Slow down and prepare to stop. D. Stop. C. Slow down and prepare to stop. A steady yellow light indicates that a steady red light will soon appear. If you are driving toward an intersection and a yellow light appears, slow down and prepare to stop. If you are already within the intersection or cannot stop safely before entering the intersection, continue through carefully. From the center lane, which maneuvers can you perform? A. You may make left turns. B. You may make U-turns. C. You may pass slow-moving traffic. D. All of the above. A. You may make left turns. This sign indicates where a lane is reserved for the exclusive use of left-turning vehicles from either direction. Such a lane may not be used for passing or for through traffic. You may honk your horn when you A. Have to stop quickly. B. Are passing another car. C. Have lost control of your car. D. Are passing a bicyclist. C. Have lost control of your car. One situation where it is appropriate to use your horn is if you lose control of your vehicle. In this case, sound your horn to alert other drivers. If you parallel park facing downward on a hill, A. Turn your wheels sharply toward the side of the road. B. Turn your wheels away from the side of the road. C. Keep your wheels straight. A. Turn your wheels sharply toward the side of the road. When parking downhill, turn your front wheels toward the curb or edge of the road. When parking uphill on a road without a curb, turn your wheels toward the edge of the road. When parking uphill on a road with a curb, you must turn your front wheels away from the curb.
Want to ace your DMV test? Click on the link below and get your guaranteed cheat sheet.
A steady yellow traffic signal light is a warning that the light is about to change to red. If you are already within the intersection when a green light changes to yellow, you should A. Stop. B. Continue moving and clear the intersection safely. C. Increase your speed so as not to cause an accident. B. Continue moving and clear the intersection safely. If you are already within an intersection when the traffic light turns yellow, you should clear the intersection as quickly as possible. This sign means A. Trucks under 18,000 pounds. Allowed. B. Hill ahead. C. Truck stop ahead. D. No trucks allowed. B. Hill ahead. This sign warns that there is a steep hill ahead. As you approach the top of a hill, you should A. Speed up slightly. B. Prepare to stop, if needed. C. Maintain a steady speed. B. Prepare to stop, if needed. You may not know what is on the other side of a hill or just around a curve, even if you have driven the road many times. If a vehicle is stalled just out of sight on the roadway, you must be able to stop. Whenever you come to a hill or curve, adjust your speed so you can stop if necessary. You must yield for emergency vehicles? A. Under no circumstances. B. When you see a flashing red or blue light or hear a siren. C. Only when other vehicles yield. D. None of the above. B. When you see a flashing red or blue light or hear a siren. You must yield the right of way to any emergency vehicle that is using its siren or flashing lights. Solid or dashed white pavement markings indicate that traffic is moving in opposite directions. A. True. B. False. B. False. White lines are used to separate lanes of traffic moving in the same direction. Yellow lines are used to separate lanes of traffic moving in opposite directions. The most effective safety restraints in a traffic crash are: A. Only a lap and shoulder belt. B. Only an airbag. C. Both a lap, shoulder belt and an airbag. D. No safety restraints. C. Both a lap, shoulder belt and an airbag. Safety belts can double your chance of surviving a crash and more than double your chance of avoiding serious injury. Airbags, when used properly with safety belts, provide additional protection in a front-end crash. You should wear both shoulder and lap belts. This sign means: A. No left turn. B. Flagger ahead. C. Two-way left turn. D. Turn right or go through. A. No left turn. Regulation signs regulate traffic speed and movement, displaying rules which drivers must obey. This regulation sign means that left turns are prohibited. You may drink alcoholic beverages in a vehicle on a public highway. A. As long as you aren't driving. B. If you are riding in the back seat. C. If you are riding in the back of a pickup truck. D. Under no circumstances. D. Under no circumstances. It is against the law to consume or possess any alcoholic beverage while on a public road or sidewalk. Additionally, storing an open alcoholic beverage container in an area of a motor vehicle normally occupied by the driver or passenger is prohibited on any public road. When changing lanes. A. Rely on the rear-view mirror. B. Look over your shoulder in the direction you plan to move. C. Rely on the left side mirror. B. Look over your shoulder in the direction you plan to move. When changing lanes, glance over your shoulder to check for traffic in your blind spot. You may need to look several times before changing lanes. You must keep track of what traffic is doing in front of you as well as what traffic is doing in the lane next to you. If you need to stop quickly and your vehicle is not equipped with an anti-lock braking system (ABS), you should: A. Hold down the brake pedal. B. Firmly pump your brakes. C. Lightly tap the brakes. D. Release the brake pedal. B. Firmly pump your brakes. Pumping the brakes is generally the best way to stop a car in an emergency. The car will stop quickly and you will also be able to continue steering. A good defensive driver. A. Drives slowly at all times. B. Looks out for the actions of other drivers. C. Travels at a constant speed. D. Only drives in familiar areas. B. Looks out for the actions of other drivers. Even the most experienced drivers can be distracted while driving. A defensive driver looks out for the actions of other drivers and anticipates potential problems. Never drive a vehicle through, around, or under any railroad gate or barrier. A. True. B. False. A. True. Never drive through, around, or under gates or barriers at a railroad crossing. It is illegal and very dangerous. If you are stopped by a police officer, you should: A. Unbuckle your seat belt and lower your window. B. Get your paperwork ready before the officer reaches your car. C. Stay in your vehicle with your hands on the steering wheel and wait for the officer to approach you. D. Get out of your car and walk toward the patrol car. C. Stay in your vehicle with your hands on the steering wheel and wait for the officer to approach you. If you are stopped by the police, keep your hands on the wheel and ask any passengers to keep their hands in view as well. You should remain in the vehicle unless the police officer asks you to get out. Wait until the officer asks you to retrieve your driver license, registration, and insurance cards. Blind spots are: A. Spots in your vision when you become fatigued. B. Areas of the road that cannot be seen in a vehicle's mirrors. C. Traffic control devices. B. Areas of the road that cannot be seen in a vehicle's mirrors. When changing lanes, look over your shoulder in the direction you plan to move. Check for obstructions near the rear corners of your vehicle. These areas are called blind spots because you cannot see them by using your mirrors. The effect that lack of sleep has on your safe driving ability is the same as: A. The effect that alcohol has. B. The effect that amphetamines have. C. The effect that anger has. D. The effect that driving with teenagers has. A. The effect that alcohol has. Fatigue and being under the influence of alcohol have similar effects on your ability to drive safely. For example, being awake for 18 hours impairs your driving about as much as a blood alcohol level of 0.05%. Being awake for 24 hours in a row has the same effect on your driving as a blood alcohol level of 0.10%. When in a travel lane on the roadway: A. You may stop to drop off passengers. B. You may stop to look up an address. C. You may make a U-turn or back up if you get on the wrong entrance ramp of the freeway. D. Don't stop for any reason. Keep moving until you can safely pull off the road. D. Don't stop for any reason. Keep moving until you can safely pull off the road. You should not stop in a travel lane for any reason. Instead, keep moving until you can safely pull off of the road. If you miss your turn or exit, do not back up. Go to the next turn or exit or where you can safely turn around. What is the purpose of rumble strips? A. They alert drivers to potential tire problems. B. They test a vehicle's shock absorbers. C. Through vibration and sound, they alert inattentive drivers to the fact that their vehicles have left the travel lane. When approaching a school bus stopped with its stop arm extended, drivers should: A. Come to a complete stop and wait to proceed. B. Honk their horn before passing the bus on its left. C. Continue driving when they think most kids are probably done exiting the bus. D. Pass the bus before its door opens. A. Come to a complete stop and wait to proceed. When approaching a stopped school bus that is using its stop signal, a driver is required to come to a complete stop. They should not proceed until the stop arm is withdrawn. To avoid collisions with vehicles in your blind spots, you should A. Quickly turn your head to see if your blind spot is clear before changing lanes. B. Adjust your rearview mirrors every few minutes. C. Honk your horn right before turning or changing lanes. D. None of the above. To see objects in their blind spot when changing lanes, drivers should check A. Only the left outside mirror. B. Over their left or right shoulder. C. Only the inside rearview mirror. B. Over their left or right shoulder. Your vehicle's blind spots are the areas that you cannot see in your mirrors. Look over the appropriate shoulder to check your blind spot when changing lanes. This road sign means A. You are about to enter a one-way street the wrong way. B. School crossing ahead. C. Do not drive in this lane. D. Traffic turning left on the green light must yield to oncoming traffic. D. Traffic turning left on the green light must yield to oncoming traffic. This sign is used with a traffic signal to tell drivers that left-turning traffic does not have the right of way and must instead wait for oncoming traffic to clear. You are approaching an intersection where a traffic signal is displaying a steady yellow light. If you have not already entered the intersection, you should A. Speed up to beat the red light. B. Reduce your speed and proceed carefully through the intersection. C. Come to a safe stop. C. Come to a safe stop. At an intersection controlled by a steady yellow light, you should bring your vehicle to a safe stop. If you are already within the intersection when the light changes from green to yellow, continue through the intersection at a safe speed. What is the only effective way to remove alcohol from the body? A. Drink strong coffee. B. Wait. C. Take a cold shower. B. Wait. The only way to remove the effects of alcohol from the body is to let time pass. Eating, drinking coffee, or taking a shower will not speed up this process. If a driver accumulates, fill in the blank, points in a one-year period, their license will be suspended. A. 12. B. 18. C. 20. D. 24. A. 12. Certain offenses committed while driving will count against the driver in Maine's system of suspending driver licenses. If a driver accrues 12 points or more within a 12-month period, their license will be suspended. It is important to slow down. A. On narrow or winding roads. B. At intersections or railroad crossings. C. When the road is wet or slippery. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. You should always slow down when driving on narrow or winding roads, near intersections, near railroad crossings, on hills, in sharp or blind curves, where there are pedestrians or driving hazards, and when the roads are wet or slippery. A vehicle suddenly cuts in front of you, creating a hazard. What should you do first? A. Honk and step on the brake firmly. B. Take your foot off the gas pedal. C. Swerve into the lane next to you. B. Take your foot off the gas pedal. If a vehicle merges in front of you too closely, take your foot off of the accelerator. This will create space between you and the vehicle ahead without requiring you to slam on your brakes or swerve into another lane. If you stop along the road at night. A. Turn off all your lights. B. Use your parking lights only. C. Use your headlights only. D. Turn on your emergency flashers and leave your low beams turned on. D. Turn on your emergency flashers and leave your low beams turned on. If you stop along the road at night, turn on your emergency flashers and leave your low beam headlights turned on. Be sure that other road users will be able to clearly see your vehicle. This sign means A. Divided highway ends. B. One-way traffic ahead. C. Two-way traffic ahead. D. Keep to the right. D. Keep to the right. This sign indicates that you must keep to the right of the upcoming divider. If an emergency vehicle with flashing lights is traveling in the area where you are driving, you should A. Speed up to avoid the emergency vehicle. B. Stop your vehicle immediately and prevent them from passing. C. Make every effort to give the emergency vehicle a clear path of travel. D. Signal to the emergency vehicle when it is clear for them to pass you. C. Make every effort to give the emergency vehicle a clear path of travel. If an emergency vehicle with flashing lights is traveling in the area where you are driving, you must make every effort to give them a clear path of travel. If it is safe to do so, pull your vehicle to the side of the road to give the emergency vehicle an open pathway. To enter a gap in highway traffic. A. Watch only the vehicles behind the gap. B. Check behind you, then watch the vehicle ahead. C. Speed up and let the other vehicles make way. B. Check behind you, then watch the vehicle ahead. Whenever you want to change lanes or enter traffic, you must be sure that there are no vehicles in your way in the lane you want to enter. Always check for traffic to the side of and behind your vehicle before you change lanes. You reach an intersection with stop signs on all four corners at the same time as the driver on your left. Who has the right of way? A. The driver on your left has the right of way. B. You have the right of way. C. Whoever is signaling to make a turn has the right of way. B. You have the right of way. If two vehicles arrive at the same time to an intersection that has stop signs on all corners, the vehicle to the right has the right of way. When you see an emergency vehicle with flashing lights, you must A. Slow down and keep moving in your lane. B. Keep driving in your lane. C. Pull to the right curb and stop. D. Stop exactly where you are. C. Pull to the right curb and stop. When you see an emergency vehicle using its lights or hear it using its siren, you must immediately pull over to the curb or side of the road and stop. If two drivers arrive at the same time to a four-way intersection controlled by stop signs. A. The driver on the right has the right of way. B. The driver on the left has the right of way. C. One driver may continue driving without stopping. D. One driver should honk to indicate that they are giving up the right of way. A. The driver on the right has the right of way. Yield the right of way to the driver on your right at a four-way intersection if you both arrive to the intersection at the same time. You may then proceed when it is safe to do so. What does a lane use control signal displaying a solid yellow X indicate? A. The signal is about to change to a red X. B. The signal is about to change to a green arrow. C. Drivers may use the indicated lane only to make a left turn. D. Drivers may drive slowly in the indicated lane. A. The signal is about to change to a red X. Lane use control signals are used when the direction of the flow of traffic in a specific lane changes throughout the day. They are used to show which lanes of traffic are open and closed, as well as to show if toll booths are open or closed. Drivers should clear the indicated lane when a lane control signal contains a solid yellow X, as the lane signal is about to change to a red X. You drive defensively when you A. Put one car length between you and the car ahead. B. Look only at the car in front of you while driving. C. Keep your eyes moving to look for possible hazards. C. Keep your eyes moving to look for possible hazards. You are driving defensively when you are looking down the road for potential hazards. Constantly staring at the road directly in front of your vehicle is dangerous. As you scan ahead, be alert to vehicles around you. You are driving up a hill and are approaching a heavy truck from the rear. You should know that A. The truck may be traveling at a speed slower than the posted speed limit. B. You may not be able to safely pass the truck. C. You may not be able to legally pass the truck. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. Drivers must be aware that large vehicles often travel at a speed slower than the posted speed limit, especially when driving on an incline, and should use caution when approaching a large vehicle from the rear. When on a hill with limited visibility, it is unlawful to pass another vehicle. This sign means A. Divided highway. B. Railroad warning. C. No passing zone. A. Divided highway. This sign indicates that a divided highway begins ahead. To help relieve fatigue on a long trip, it is a good idea to A. Stop and rest every 2 hours. B. Do arm exercises every hour. C. Drive with one eye open at a time. D. Change feet on the gas pedal. A. Stop and rest every 2 hours. To avoid becoming fatigued while taking a long trip, stop every 2 hours for a short break. If you become drowsy, pull off the road and park in a safe place to take a nap, or find a room to stay for the night. You may be able to identify an aggressive driver by A. Their erratic and improper lane changes. B. The number of passengers in their car. C. Their tendency to drive slowly. A. Their erratic and improper lane changes. While driving, you should remain aware of the actions of surrounding drivers. If you notice an aggressive driver nearby making erratic or improper lane changes, you should not challenge them. The safest way to handle an aggressive driver is to get out of their way. Vehicles stopped behind a school bus with its red lights flashing must remain stopped until A. All students are off the bus. B. The stop arm is retracted. C. The stop arm is retracted and the bus resumes motion. C. The stop arm is retracted and the bus resumes motion. When a school bus is flashing its red lights and has its stop arm extended, motorists must come to a full stop until the lights are turned off, the stop arm is withdrawn, and the bus begins moving again. A driver approaching a flashing red traffic signal must A. Slow down at the light. B. Drive carefully without stopping. C. Merge to the right. D. Stop before entering the intersection. When preparing to turn left, drivers should A. Slow down gradually while checking their rearview mirror. B. Move into the left lane. C. Watch for oncoming vehicles and pedestrians. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. As you approach a left turn, signal your intentions 3 to 5 seconds in advance. Continually check your rearview mirror as you gradually slow down. On a multi-lane road, move into the left lane before reaching the intersection where you plan to turn. Yield to traffic and pedestrians and turn when your path is clear. When you park uphill on a street with a curb. A. Keep the front wheel straight and set the parking brake. B. Turn the front wheels away from the curb. C. Turn the front wheels toward the curb. D. Turn the back wheels into the curb. B. Turn the front wheels away from the curb. When parking on an incline where there is a curb, you should turn your wheels sharply to the left, away from the curb. This way, if your brakes fail, your vehicle will not roll into traffic. When an authorized vehicle using its sirens and flashing lights approaches a vehicle, the driver should pull to the right-hand edge of the roadway and wait for the emergency vehicle to pass. A. True. B. False. A. True. When being approached by an emergency vehicle that is using its lights and/or sirens, you must immediately pull to the right side of the road and allow it to pass. When preparing to make a left turn from a two-way street, you should drive A. Near the right-hand side of the road. B. Near the center line. C. On the left of the center line. B. Near the center line. When you are turning left from a two-way street, begin in the lane closest to the center line and start your turn just before the front of your car reaches the center of the intersection. Do not cut the corner. Steering hand over hand, turn into the first available legal lane. This sign means A. Winding road ahead. B. Do not enter. C. Pedestrian crossing. A. Winding road ahead. This sign warns of a winding road ahead. When driving normally, where should your hands be positioned on the steering wheel? A. 3 and 9 o'clock. B. 1 and 11 o'clock. C. 2 and 10 o'clock. D. 4 and 8 o'clock. C. 2 and 10 o'clock. To best maintain control of a vehicle while driving normally, hands should be placed on the outside of the steering wheel at the 2 and 10 o'clock positions. To be able to turn quickly, you need to hold the steering wheel correctly. You are approaching a green traffic light and traffic is blocking the intersection. What is the best thing to do? A. Partially enter the intersection to establish your right-of-way. B. Don't enter the intersection until you can get completely across. C. Continue into the intersection and wait for traffic to clear. B. Don't enter the intersection until you can get completely across. Even if your light is green, you must not enter an intersection unless you can get completely through the intersection before the light turns red. If you block the intersection, you can be cited. If you are driving on a one-way street and an emergency vehicle using its flashing lights approaches your vehicle, you must A. Drive with your flashers turned on. B. Drive toward the nearest roadside and stop. C. Speed up and take the nearest exit. D. Slow down until the vehicle passes you. B. Drive toward the nearest roadside and stop. If an emergency vehicle using its lights or siren approaches while you are driving on a one-way street, you must drive toward the nearest roadside and stop. You experience an incident at work that has left you feeling angry. When you get to your car, you should A. Play the radio loudly so you won't think about it. B. Drive fast on the interstate to let off steam. C. Take a few minutes to cool off before you begin your drive home. D. Stop at your favorite bar and have a few drinks before driving home. C. Take a few minutes to cool off before you begin your drive home. Persons who are upset, angry, or otherwise distracted by their emotions should take time to cool off before driving a car. Taking out frustrations or anger while driving is exercising very poor judgment and is very dangerous to both the driver and others on the road. This road sign means A. The road ahead turns sharply right, then left. B. The road ahead turns sharply left, then right. C. The road ahead curves to the left. D. Construction ahead. A. The road ahead turns sharply right, then left. This sign indicates that the road ahead will turn sharply to the right and then to the left. This sign means A. One-way traffic. B. Divided highway ends. C. Two-way traffic. D. Keep left. B. Divided highway ends. Warning signs are usually diamond-shaped with black markings on a yellow background. They alert drivers to upcoming hazards. This sign indicates that the divided highway is about to end. If you come to a roadway covered in water, you should A. Drive until you think the water is too deep. B. Drive through, as it is unlikely the standing water will become too deep. C. Turn around and find another way to go. D. Walk out into the water to determine its depth. C. Turn around and find another way to go. If you come to a roadway that is flooded, turn around and find another way to go. Do not attempt to drive through the water. It will be impossible to determine its depth or current and your vehicle could become submerged or swept away. If you see a pedestrian using a guide dog or carrying a white cane, A. The pedestrian must yield the right of way. B. You must yield the right of way. C. Honk your horn to let them know you are there. B. You must yield the right of way. Blind or partially blind pedestrians may carry a white cane or use the assistance of a guide dog. You must yield the right of way to a pedestrian with a guide dog or a white cane. When merging onto a freeway, it is usually best to A. Proceed slowly while waiting for an opening. B. Accelerate to a speed that is faster than the speed of traffic. C. Turn on your hazard lights until safely on the freeway. D. Accelerate to the speed of freeway traffic. D. Accelerate to the speed of freeway traffic. When entering a freeway, use the on-ramp to accelerate to the speed of freeway traffic so you can blend in smoothly and safely. Entering traffic must yield to traffic already on the freeway. This sign means A. No right turn. B. Keep right. C. No U-turn. D. Left lane must turn left. A. No right turn. Regulation signs regulate traffic speed and movement, displaying rules which drivers must obey. This regulation sign means that right turns are prohibited.